Hi, everybody. This is Nate Hodge here, and this is Extremely Decent Games. With me, as always, we've got Jay Lewis. How's it going, Jay?
Hey, how's it going, bro?
And we also have Pedro. How's it going tonight, Pedro?
How's it going, man? I'm super excited for this very special podcast, and I know that you have the best predictions in the game because you've got your third eye open today.
I do, and very well noticed, yes. Today is a very special episode of Let's Hash It. We're going to be foregoing our normal format, and we're going to go ahead and be giving you guys our E3 predictions for 2016. So the format we're going to go with here is we're going to start with each conference for each console manufacturer. So we'll start with Microsoft, we'll go to Nintendo and Sony. Once we're in each one of those, Jay will go ahead and give his predictions, me and Pedro, and we'll just go right down through the list. So you guys ready to do this?
Yeah, man, I'm hyped.
Yes, sir.
All right, so first up tonight is Microsoft and their press conference. And Jay, so what predictions do you got for Microsoft this year?
So I think what we ought to do here is we'll do it on a case by case basis. So I'll say my first, then Pedro can say his second, or I mean his first, and then you say your first. Right? That's how we're gonna
Okay.
do it.
Yeah, that sounds
Yeah,
good.
we'll do it. Yeah, we'll do it that way. So the first prediction that I have, the franchise poster boy games are coming back. We just seen Ratchet and Clank come out on the PS4. So my prediction is that I think we'll see a new Conquer game get announced. This is a bit of a kind of bold prediction, but I do think there could be a possibility of a new Conquer game. So that's my first prediction coming from Microsoft.
And that's pretty much right in line with what my first prediction is. I also predict that Rare Studios will give us a new game. I'm going to go with Banjo-Kazooie, though. That's a fan favorite. It's not really been a title that I've ever played, but I know that there's a lot of demand for another Banjo-Kazooie title. So I would bet on that or Conquer for sure.
Heck
I'm
yeah.
gonna go with out of my three. You know what? They're gonna go with a release date for Crackdown. Like you guys said, this is the year for each console to kind of have their number one AAA, you know, uh, like franchise out there. You guys went with a new IP. I'm going with a staple within Microsoft. Crackdown. It will be officially announced to come out in early October or early November. Actually, early November. That'll be their
So
marquee
you
game for
think
the
you think they're gonna put it like right alongside all the other shooters?
Yeah. I think it's
You don't think?
probably it'll come after Gears because Gears is in October. So their marquee
Oh,
game
okay.
usually comes out in November. I'm gonna go with that. Yeah.
Shout out to Microsoft for the ability to have two AAA games that are huge, like be delivered right around the same time. Because I would have to agree with that. I definitely, they've been teasing Crackdown, and it went dark for a little bit. I'm assuming because it's going to be revealed at E3, just like you're saying, and that game's going to be huge. One thing I want to ask, because you probably know a little bit more about it than I do, is what's the big deal with this like cloud save function, or like every time I hear that game, I hear something about a cloud feature. So do you know anything about that?
Yeah, so Crackdown is the biggest experiment for Microsoft to date. And the reason being is it's because all of the graphics are actually going to be offloaded to their Azure cloud, which basically keeps the Xbox running. It runs. This game should run lighter on the Xbox One than any other game because all of the graphics are offset on the cloud. All the destruction is going to be dynamic and in real time. So it should be a really nice experiment. It's supposed to look better than anything the PS4 could generate and run at a much faster frame rate using the Azure cloud. This is apparently going to be the game that if it works out properly, they should that should have other third party um, developers use that when creating games. Um, but then again, they may not need to if my prediction later on comes to fruition.
Well, I was going to say that I would think that if they were having any issues with the cloud feature, that they would have postponed the game, by now. It's not like they really need it for this holiday season, being that they have, Gears of War to kind of hold people over. If anything, they actually could very easily push that game till early next year, being that Sony has already announced that, Horizon is getting pushed to next year, so it doesn't look like Sony's going to have much in terms of like that big AAA game outside of what is it, Gran Turismo. So I mean, Microsoft, all the ball's in their court right now because as per usual, they got those AAA games coming at a pretty decent pace. So I don't know, man. Sony needs to tighten their shit up.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. All right. Jay, you want to go ahead and take us into our second prediction for Microsoft?
Yeah, so my second prediction is that, it's not really that bold of a prediction. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but I think Microsoft's going to show off the two new consoles that we talked about in our last podcast. First one being the Slim, and then the second one being the one that's slated out for next year that is quite a beast, has a lot of processing power. So I think we're going to see both of those consoles get a full reveal. So yeah, that's my second prediction.
I think that sounds very likely. My second prediction is going to be that Microsoft will offer a lower price on VR-ready consoles than Sony will. I don't expect it would be a whole lot, but Sony did beat them to the punch with the next-gen consoles with a lower price at E3 a couple of E3s ago. So we'll see if Microsoft can pull off the same thing this year and deliver a product at a little bit cheaper price to make it more attractive for gamers to get onto the whole VR experience.
So you're saying like it'll be a console that is cheaper than the PS4 and it's Oculus ready?
No. What I'm saying is like since Sony and Microsoft are both giving us upgraded VR-ready consoles, I'm gonna say that Microsoft's version of that will run cheaper than Sony's, so that whatever
That's a bold prediction there, sir.
Well, I think they could do it, and if they could, it would really stick it to Sony this year, and give players an excuse who want to try VR to go ahead and go with Microsoft to start off.
Damn, so that's two predictions in one. Because he said it's going to cost lower and it's going to come out this year. Oh, bro. His third eye is open, though.
Yeah, Microsoft would have to take a loss on the console. So not the console. Well, yeah, the console. Yeah, console yeah, they'd have to take a loss on it. But, I mean, is it better to take the loss up front and then make it back with the software? Maybe they could do that. I could see it, but I agree with Pedro. I think it's a little bit of a bold prediction, but...
I don't know how I can follow that up, honestly. I'm going to go with the same thing you guys were saying. There will be a new Microsoft console announced during their press conference. It'll probably be a slimmer version. It'll probably be around the $250 range. I would think. I think that their goal will be to sell as many to get as much traction going with the Xbox One, and then move into the VR ready console in 2017. But I think they will have the lowest cost in terms of purchasing a console for this year. They'll have the cheapest one. It may not be VR ready, but they'll have the cheapest one for sure.
And
Um,
this is the Slim you're talking about, right?
yeah, this will be the slimmer version. They'll probably have they'll probably have a controller redesign as well. Nothing more powerful. Probably run a little bit cooler and quieter. Probably consume less energy. But
Can they change the aesthetic to it? Can they please change the aesthetic to it? Because let's
and make it
let's
not
be
look like a
honest.
VCR.
Exactly, bro. That thing is like a prehistoric, VCR, bro. Like cavemen used to watch cave woman porn on the goddamn Xbox One console, bro.
Oh no. Yeah, it does look very antiquated, but I mean, I think the slimmer version would look much better.
And when you say a redesigned controller, elaborate on that a little bit because I don't think they need to change that controller much. Like in my opinion, and me and Nate were literally just talking about this the other day. We were talking about, the DualShock 4 versus the Xbox controller, and I told him that the Xbox One controller is virtually perfect. So what would they redesign on it?
Probably make it a little bit smaller as well, slim it down a little bit. I think it could be a little bulky at times. It does fit very well in the hand, so it's. I think it's the best ergonomically. I think it's the best for first-person shooters. I think the joysticks are the best. The triggers are amazing on the actual controller itself. I think that the controller that we have right now is very good. But I mean, if you can make it a little bit slimmer, maybe a little bit smaller, to kind of fit in your hand, fit snug in your hand. I mean, why not?
Yeah. Yeah, much agreed. Much agreed. Y'all ready for my third prediction?
Oh man, hit us with it.
This is my final Microsoft prediction. I think we're going to see a full scale bound reveal, and they're going to have it dated. Not exact release date, but we'll probably get a release window for it.
When do you think?
I'm going to go with April 2017. We'll just put it right around
So
there, which I was going to say that's probably going to put it head to head with Horizon. So that's going to be interesting to see how, those two kind of duke it out because, I mean, those games they got some similar mechanics to them. So.
I would think, well, that would be taking the Quantum Break release window. I think it would fall perfectly in that Quantum Break release window, actually. So that's a good prediction, actually.
Good
Nice.
indeed. All right.
Oh,
Well,
by the way, one thing I was gonna say is that's the game that I got my eyes on when it comes to like Microsoft exclusives. Like that game has so much potential, and I'm very hyped for it. So I hope it ends up being what I think it's gonna be. So yeah, just want to throw that in there.
all right. Yeah, it does look really good. My final prediction for Microsoft will be that we'll get a sequel to Jade Empire. Now, for those of
Oh,
you who do not know what Jade Empire is, it was an
kill
RPG.
yourself.
It was an action RPG on the original Xbox. It was phenomenal. It was amazing, and it would be something that Microsoft really needs. They need to give something more fantasy related. They can do a whole lot with
Hmm.
this, and they would have an excellent franchise on their hands if they could get it going again. So I would be really excited to see that from Microsoft. I mean, I don't think we'll get anything like that, but it would be really cool to see it.
Yeah. Agreed. I just hope they don't do something like try to make it open world or, try to do too much to make it different. Like, I think all they kind of need to do is just keep hitting on, what the first one was and have that, linear, story driven experience. And yeah, dude, I'd be all over that one too.
What is
Did you
BioWare
play that?
doing right?
Oh yeah, yeah, right.
Oh,
Are
they're
they the
making
ones that made it?
Yeah, shit, they're making
Okay.
Mass Effect, bro. What the fuck? There's no way they'll
Oh,
be
oh
making
yeah.
Jade
Duh.
Empire. Uh, uh, I'm gonna say that is a pipe dream
Negative.
for now.
Yeah, I I
Uh,
I kind of thought that it was, but it's something I'd like to throw out there just as an idea.
Phil Spencer though does like having those fringe titles that kind of fill a space. And you're right, they don't have a fantasy game anymore because Fable's gone, and a replacement for Fable being Jade Empire, I think would, I mean, re-energize the fans of that genre that own Xbox Ones. So that is a great pick. I don't think it's gonna happen yet, but that is a great idea to kind of
What
fulfill that part of the portfolio.
what he meant to tell you is that was his prediction for E3 2017.
Oh, all right.
Maybe
See,
not.
then it worked. Then it
Yeah.
works.
Future predictions. I got you. I got you. Um, my final prediction is going to be they're gonna announce a release date for Recore. I believe that Recore will not be a 2016 game. I think that with Crackdown and Gears of War, kind of taking up 2016. I don't think they're gonna pack in yet another AAA title. They'll probably have this kind of feeling that maybe that Dying Light January, late January, early February role. I would think. They may also kind of not release it and time it to be a release title for the VR ready console, and kind of give the developers some time to have that ready for the VR ready console. Um, but I'm gonna go with it'll be mid to late January, early February. It'll fill that Dying Light role for 2017.
Yeah, I totally agree with this prediction. Actually, I originally had it on my prediction list, and then I saw you had it, so that's when I switched to Scalebound. So I definitely agree with you 100%. I also agree with you on the date. I think that putting it out, like you said, right around the time they did Dying Light, there's not a lot of games that. Well, let me reiterate this, or let me rethink this. Because what sometimes happens is games are announced for the holiday season, then they get pushed into 2017 in the very beginning months. So maybe it'll be there alone, maybe not. Maybe something else will make it in the beginning of the year. But yeah, I would definitely put it out around January.
All right. Yeah. Sounds pretty good. Shall we move on to Nintendo?
Yeah, before we do that, let's just take a brief second to what do we think about these predictions? Do you think that this will help Microsoft continue to sell their console? Like, do you think their outlook is bright? Like, what do you guys think about Microsoft? Does this sound pretty good to you guys?
Well, if
I
they come out with 70% of what we just said, I think they'll have a good chance of winning E3 that first day. The consumer base will leave with a much more positive outlook on the brand. They'll be excited for what's to come, and I mean I think that it will help, kind of um, stave off the eventual onslaught that PlayStation's going to put on them later that night, because they do open the show, so there's going to be, you know, there'll be the 9 a.m. and then Sony closes the day out that same night. So I think Sony, when they come out, they're going to come out swinging, and PlayStation or and Xbox need to have a E3 like this to kind of get people who, number one, don't own the console, which is both you and Nate. So if they were to say, hey, Jay, look at this dope game that you like. Oh, it's coming out this day. Oh, Nate, by the way, Jade Empire releasing in 2017 as well. And all of a sudden now you start kind of thinking, damn, that 249 that this slim console is going to cost isn't that much money. Let me go ahead and buy it in preparation for this. And I think that is what will drive, Microsoft to being potentially tied for first in this three-legged race right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, you got it. Take it, Nate.
okay. I was just gonna say that I think Microsoft definitely needs to do something big at the C3. They definitely have a chance to one up Sony here because I think Sony's probably getting a little lax. You know, they've been doing so well for so long. They probably don't feel like they have as much to prove. And Microsoft can really steal the show by just giving fans what they want. And I think good games are the way they're going to be able to do it. Because everyone's got VR, but Microsoft has some great franchises that its fan base will eat up if they'll just give them a little bit of fan service there, I think.
Yeah, and for me, what I think Microsoft needs to do in order to do good at E3 is show those marquee games that, you can't find on their console. Hitting back on what, Nate said about, not having fantasy games. They need some of that in their library. They need some of these platforming games in their library. When I think of the Microsoft console, the first thing that always comes to mind is, first person shooters, or actually just shooters as a whole, because you have Halo, you have Gears of War, but they need to, start getting some other types of games in their catalog and speak to a broader audience. And I think that will help them be successful at E3. And I hope that's what we see because I'm still waiting for that one game that just says, okay, you know what? Now's the time to pull the trigger. Just like you said, Pedro, that sweet price point of $249. Like, you give me a couple good games and you give me that price point and I am all over it. So, yeah.
All right. Well, okay. So moving on into Nintendo. Jay, you'll be up again with your first prediction. So, what do you got for us? What do you think Nintendo can do this year at E3?
All right, so before I tell you my prediction, let's just address the elephant in the room. And we know the NX isn't going to be there, so we're not going to talk about that in the prediction at all. So my prediction is more of them just promising a bright future without talking about the NX, just kind of letting their audience know that, they're trying to recollect themselves as a company after the loss of Iwata, and just kind of like them trying to, reestablish roles in the company and that sort of thing. So I think they're really just gonna let all the fans know that they're working really hard towards a brighter future, and I think that's how the overall feel of their console is gonna go.
Yeah, they really need to promise us something.
Damn, a promise of a bright future in during an E3 press conference with all of American news outlets there. Oh my god, bro. You got to do better than that. Ugh.
No, listen, I don't think they care though, because what we've seen from Nintendo in the last couple of E3s is we haven't seen them blow away the show. They've never tried to really go to E3 with the mission objective of winning the show. Like they march to their own drum. They don't need E3 to sell their consoles or their software for that matter. So again, I just think they're really just gonna try and let fans know that just trust in us. We know what we're doing. we need some time, and they have time right now. Luckily they have plenty of money in the bank, but eventually that money will run out. So you do need to let people know that there is a reason to stay invested in Nintendo. So,
Well, we'll see if they can do it. Moving on with my prediction for Nintendo. I'm going to say that they're going to come out with a new version of the 3DS, and I know that they just came out with the new quote-unquote 3DS, but I think we'll see yet like another iteration of the design of the original 3DS and a price cut for it. Because technology has certainly come a long way since it was first introduced, and I'm sure they could streamline a lot of features and technology already present within the system. So, because we're not going to hear anything about the NX, I would be willing to bet they're going to double down on their 3DS and give us a new iteration of the handheld device.
I don't know why they would have a new iteration of a handheld device if this NX is supposedly supposed to include a handheld device. Wouldn't make sense for me to me to do that. Although they could be following the Microsoft plan where we're just going to give you this to tide you over until the real console comes out in 2017. So maybe that's what their plan is.
Well, the reason why I say that is they kind of have a pattern of releasing multiple iterations of their handhelds. So it wouldn't be out of the ordinary for us to get another version of it. So I think it's definitely a possibility. I mean, given how many versions of the original Game Boy there were, and of the first DS, I think the 3DS probably has a few more iterations in it before they finally upgrade to something completely different.
Yeah, I'm going to have to respectfully disagree. I think that they've already kind of like confused the consumer with, all the different models of handhelds they have, because they have the 3DS, the new 3DS, the 2DS. Like, there's so many, just different versions of the same thing that I don't think they would have the ignorance to put another one out there. I think we're not going to see much from them this year outside of Zelda. I mean, I think that's what they're going to, prey on, just to keep people embedded in Nintendo, and that's going to be the game that's going to keep them in the headlines, and that's what people are going to be talking about. All the big outlets are going to be like, oh my God, an open world, Zelda. And I think that's going to be the focus, and that's what's going to carry them through into next year. And then, like we talked about on the previous podcast, I'm agreeing with Pedro more than ever now when he said that, New Year's would be a perfect time to do a soft reveal to the NX, just ride that Zelda train all the way to New Year's, and then boom, talk about your new console.
Definitely possible. Pedro, what do you got for us for a prediction for Nintendo?
I'm gonna go with, I think the most plausible for me out of my three predictions, I'm going to go with my number one, is the Nintendo. I'm going to probably name it something that's not ever going to be named, but we'll see something close to it. The Nintendo World Mobile Game Store. I believe that is something that's definitely going to exist. They're definitely going to release it, announce it this year. They're going to make that huge mobile push, especially if you think that they're going to talk about getting a new 3DS release. I think in that mobile game store they'll have a classic Mario game, a classic Zelda game, a classic they'll bring back Duck Hunt, which would be perfect on a touchscreen mobile phone, and they'll have them remade for working on Android and iOS. And I think that that'll be the beginning of their transition into the mobile world, especially with what was the enormous flop of Miimoto. So
I definitely would be excited about that. There's a lot of potential in their old library of games to port to mobile. I think it would be a smart decision on their part to definitely go that way.
what if they opened it up with Duck Hunt and everyone's like, "What the hell are they gonna? They're gonna put a new, like a new a gun out for the Wii U all of a sudden," and then it's just like this dude comes out and he's been playing it on his phone the whole time, and everyone's going wild because that game is meant for mobile. That's perfect for mobile. Um, and I think they could price the games at like 199 to 299, and they would make a crap load of money off of just the nostalgia alone. But if they do it right and remake them for mobile phones, they could have a hit on their hands.
Definitely, definitely so.
You know what would
Uh,
make a good Nintendo mobile game is Mario Kart, dude. I would love a Mario Kart on mobile.
Oh, with the accelerometer where you can move the thing, yeah.
Yeah, dude, that'd be super cool.
all right. Well, that wraps us back around to you, Jay. What's your second prediction for Nintendo?
My second prediction from Nintendo is since we won't be seeing very many games hit the Wii U, and they're gonna be riding that until the NX comes out. I think we're gonna see lots of 3DS support. So I think we'll see a lot of good games that are gonna be coming out, between the summer and the end of the year over on the 3DS. I don't think it'll be any major first party games because I would assume they'd be holding all those for the NX release, but I think we will see some good third party 3DS games hit the handheld.
Right on. All right. Well, I'll go ahead with my second one since we're not. I don't think any of us here are really expecting a whole lot of Nintendo, so I think we can breeze through these pretty easily. But my second one, of course, is a no-brainer. I think that we'll see, something for the new Zelda. Um, News of the NX has been pushed back till next year, so they got to string us along with something. And what perfect thing to string us along with the most than the new Zelda game, which is what everyone wants. So I'd be willing to bet it's coming out on Wii U. I don't think they're going to wait and put it on the NX. So we'll definitely see some sort of trailer for the game. I doubt we would get any hands-on gameplay or anything like that. I would be surprised if we did. But I'll be very excited to see whatever they can show of Zelda this year, because I assure you we will see it there, and it should be awesome. I hope.
I think with what we see from Zelda for the Wii U will um, will prepare us for what we should expect for Zelda on the NX.
Yeah, it's not out of the question that they'd have a port for the NX. They did the same thing with Twilight Princess, one of the main staple Zelda games. It was in development for the GameCube, but the Wii was coming out just around the corner. So we got two versions. It first came out on the GameCube, which is what I played it on, and then it later came out on the Wii. So I would imagine the same scenario with this Zelda game. We'll get. I'm sure that they're working on an NX version as well simultaneously, and we'll get a version for the Wii U to tide us over while they're trying to figure out what the hell they're doing over there at Nintendo, and then we'll get an NX version later.
Yeah. Okay. I guess that's my turn. We will go with. Okay, so we will go with the Metroid mobile game. I think that's going to be a game that'll anchor their holiday plans, since there aren't, very many games that probably they'll have coming out that are going to be marquee. So they announced the mobile world or the Nintendo World Mobile Game Store with the old school games that have been remade for mobile. And then at the end of the conference, I think that they announced a Metroid game made specifically for mobile, brand new IP, and something that just kind of bring Samus back into the fold, and kind of wet your whistle until NX comes out and you get an actual full console version of Metroid.
I definitely need some sort of Metroid in my life. I've been missing that
Yes.
franchise a lot, so I'll take about anything I can get. I would prefer not to have a mobile game. I prefer to have it on a handheld, but I'll take it on mobile if they can make it interesting and not have the touchscreen be too cumbersome for what Metroid is known for, and that's exploration. So we'll see. I mean, I'd be excited for it. That's for sure.
I think they could do a good job with it. I think in this day and age, mobile games have got really come along from where they were before, especially with games like Hitman Go and Tomb Raider Go. If you have
Hmm.
a gameplay style kind of like that, um, it should be a good game, or a game good enough to make it worth $4 to $5, and to play through and for you to enjoy it.
Definitely. I've
Yeah,
never
for
been
sure.
a big fan of those genres, but if it's got the Metroid title on it, it's got my eye. So
Kind of like Star Fox.
yeah, yep.
Uh,
Anyway, moving on. Jay, your last prediction for Nintendo?
all right, my last prediction, and I'm not going to bore you guys with the one that you see in the document. I'm not going to bring that to the table. The way I'm going to close it out is I'm going to have a bold Nintendo prediction, and there's all this talk about the NX not being able to support VR. I think that's false, and I think that Nintendo will tease something to let everyone know that there will be that VR will be possible on the NX, and I think it's going to look way different than anything we see out of Microsoft or Sony. I think it's going to be something more along the lines of like the Samsung Gear, where you just put like a peripheral, like the handheld into like a little peripheral that goes around your head to make it very cost friendly, but yet they can still get into the VR world, being that they're going to be so heavily focused on mobile, as Pedro said. So I think they will get into VR. I think they'll tease it at E3. So yeah, that's my final prediction, and a little bit of a bold one, but I think they'd be crazy not to get into VR in some capacity.
There are rumors going around that they are looking into that, so that is a bold prediction.
Yeah. But Pedro, what do you think about that? Like them doing something like the Samsung Gear. Do you think they could do something like that?
I think they would do something like that, but I don't think that they would do it with just any phone. I think that they would do it if NX is supposedly this hybrid, console
Exactly. Yeah.
goes mobile. It'll be part of their that mobile console.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That's kind of what I was thinking of, like the actual, hybrid handheld as they're calling it. Maybe it is lightweight. Maybe it's something that you can strap into a cheap device that lets you play VR games. And if that's the case, Nate, would you be excited for that?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I've been a big fan of their 3DS system for its 3D capabilities, so if they can make it accessible on the NX, yeah, definitely so.
Cool. Same here, man. I definitely get into that.
All right, well, moving on to my last prediction. Going with disappointment. Just tons and tons of disappointment. The last couple of years, I mean,
Yeah.
Jay said this already, but the last couple of years, Nintendo really hasn't shown up for E3. So last year they did apologize after their lackluster E3 showing, said that they'd give a stronger press. Yeah, where was I? Disappointment, Amiibos, We might see more amiibos. Who gives a shit about amiibos, though, right? I mean, they. I know that they're
What
a
are
huge
they
collector's
for?
item, and you can do some stuff with them, but realistically, I don't think anyone really cares. So that's going to be my big thing is, just disappointment in amiibo news. So, what do you got, Pedro? What's the last thing that you can predict for Nintendo at E3 this year?
I
Oh,
mean,
please
I've been
agree with him
everyone
and say more
says.
disappointment.
I really don't think it's going to be more disappointment. I think we're going to come in with low expectations and come out pleasantly surprised. I think that um, anybody who is thinking that there will be no at least a hint about NX and or there won't be at least a hint of the NX during this press conference is wrong. I think you guys need to open up your third eye and actually figure and actually notice that they are going to make lots of hints towards NX and plenty of hints towards the future. You can't talk about you can't do what Jay says and promise a bright future without, you know, saying those two letters NX. You know what I mean?
You know what? I think you're right, Pedro. I think even though that they've said that they weren't going to reveal anything at NX, I think they really have to. If they want to, you know, get anyone's attention at all at the C3, they've got to drop some kind of hint on there.
Yeah, absolutely. Even if towards the end it's just like oh, by the way, stay tuned December 31st NX news, and then everyone's heads explodes at the end of that conference like oh my god, in December. So, it's got to be something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even when they show Zelda and they say, hey, look, this is an open world, this is running on this, oh, and on the NX is going to run much better though. Like it's gotta there's gotta be some sort of mention, some sort of glimpse into the future for that. You can't just say, hey guys, NX isn't going to be there, but then go to E3 and not at least give us something to kind of hold our hat on. So I think that they do give us a glimpse into the NX, and I think that they will tell us that they will have a Nintendo Treehouse event in December.
Like
Very bold
I was
prediction.
gonna I was going to say, as we're closing out the predictions for Nintendo, I just wanted to say that I think it's kind of weird for them not to be talking about the NX at this conference. Like, if they did talk about the NX and they revealed it, I think that it wouldn't be a question of who stole E3, because how do you compete with Nintendo's announcement of their new console? So I find it kind of odd that they're not going to have it there. So yeah, I agree with you guys. There probably will be some hints, but I think if it does anything, it's just going to have people like just frustrated that it's not there. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's almost better to say nothing than to even hint at these small little cookies here and there. I think it's better to say nothing, but time will tell.
Yeah.
I really want to see something from NX. I really do, and I think that's what Nintendo has to do. All right, so let's move on to Sony, shall we?
Shall we?
Jay, take it away. What do you got for us?
So I think the overall tone for the Sony conference is going to be very, very, very focused on PSVR. It's rumored that this thing's coming out in October, and it's something that we already know is going to be a niche market, and in order for Sony to make sure it's a little more than that, they're really going to need to promote this thing. One thing that I worry about is anytime they've tried to show off, VR, like in the past, it's so hard to show off on stage at a conference because there's just no way for it not to look awkward, and it's hard to really kind of address to the viewers and the audience like what the hell is actually going on. So I think they're going to show a AAA game that's being worked on the PSVR exclusive that nobody knows about. This is the first time we'll hear about it, and I think that it's going to be a staple for the console, and I think it's going to be the game that like gets everybody on board. So that's my first prediction.
Very nice.
Which technically is two predictions.
Yeah, I definitely want to see what VR has in store, and the C3 is going to be the time to do it.
Yep.
All right, moving on to my first prediction. We'll get The Last Guardian's release date. We know this game is coming out soon. I'm sure that they're going to have all kinds of goodies for us at E3. They've definitely got something special here. I've been a huge fan of the previous titles from the studio, and outside of No Man's Sky, The Last Guardian is one of the most hyped games for me of my entire life. So I'm definitely excited to see what they've got for that, and I really want to see a definite release date and some hands-on playable demo type stuff. So I think that's pretty much a given, but that's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah, I'm not really into The Last Guardian. So I think that there's going to be a game that'll, I think, kind of be the anchor of Sony's entire holiday season. I think the entire holiday season is going to be anchored by this one game, kind of like what I believe Crackdown will be for Microsoft, although some would argue that Gears is. But I think Gran Turismo is going to have the biggest presence at Sony's press conference. They're going to have both it'll probably be the best VR launch title that they'll have, which will be like a Gran Turismo Sport VR or something like that. And then, of course, Gran Turismo Sport will be the premier game for them. That game will be bundled in every PlayStation or PlayStation 4.5, quote unquote, sold.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Gran Turismo is going to be a huge game for Sony this year, and they'll probably put a lot of force around it this holiday. So, yeah, they might drop cars from the ceiling. You never know.
I hope they don't. That sounds really dangerous.
Damn.
All right, going back around to you, Jay. Second, what do you got for us?
Well, my second was also The Last Guardian full reveal, and I think it will be dated for this summer. So what do you think about a summer release for The Last Guardian?
Me personally, I don't see it. I really like it to have a summer release date, but because this game has been so enigmatic and in development hell for so long, I think we'd be being pretty optimistic to say that it would come out this summer. So I would more realistically predict it would have a fall release date.
When you mean summer, you mean August?
Sure.
Yeah,
August, September.
Well, I was even going to say that this could be one of those games that Sony reveals and just says it's available right now. Like, you can buy it digitally right now. It's on the marketplace. Go ahead and download it. The retail versions will be in stores in a couple of weeks. It's a title that, you don't really need to win people over with. It's one of those things where I think that game's going to sell by word of mouth. So, people get their hands on it, and the internet will get a hold of it, and if it's as good as they're saying it's going to be, then it's one of those things that word of mouth is going to be what helps sell this game. And since it's been in development since freaking Bush was president, like, there's no way they could make their money back on this game regardless. So I think it'd be one of those cool games just to be like, mic drop, this game's available right now. So it could be later into the summer, but hey, I'm gonna throw out a bold prediction, just be like, hey, it's available right now.
Is that a conference ender?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Are you predicting a mic drop as well?
Yeah, why not? You know, like what better way to walk off stage than be like, you know, we have a AAA game that's available right now on the Sony console. Go play it, and I think that'd be strong for them. Good way to close the conference.
I mean, I'll tell you what. During our live stream, they do that shit. I'm like, hey, I gotta go. I gotta go download.
I gotta go, bro. And like I've said this, guys, to you guys before. I think that everyone is sleeping on the Last Guardian title, being that we've only seen really one like gameplay trailer for this game. Like, we know absolutely nothing about this game, and this is a game that has been in development for 10 years. There's a reason they're not talking about it, because I think this game's going to come out, and like I said, they're not going to need to sell it. I think it's going to be one of these games that are once in a generation. You know, people are going to get a hold of it, word of mouth's going to spread, and it's going to sell like hotcakes. That's what I think. I hope I'm right about that.
I think you're definitely right about it being a very popular title. I especially hope you're right about it being available as of E3. Although I'll say that ain't gonna happen. Like, there is no way that they'll do that. I mean, I hope that they do, but I seriously doubt it.
Steak dinner bet?
Oh, you're on.
All right.
All right.
We're
Okay.
doing steak dinner bets.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
All right. So
You can
I'll
come.
move on to my next prediction. I'm going to say that they're going to be reviving a lot of IPs at this E3, and I'll say that Sony's going to follow suit by matching Microsoft. And I think they're going to bring back Crash Bandicoot in kind of a Ratchet and Clank style type adventure. Something, you know, $40, not too expensive, and just a fun time. So I think I did see some rumors about maybe this game being rebooted as well. So we'll see if it shows up at this year's E3.
Yeah, I don't think so, because the fact that they just put out Ratchet and Clank, I think they would want to put some space in between two games like that. So I'm going to have to call bullshit on that one, sir.
I definitely think we could see a trailer or a teaser for it, because I think they'll want to stay on the hype train of reviving these old properties, and I think they'll want to stay close to, you know, the excitement that's already been generated by Ratchet and Clank, and maybe give us a teaser for it at this E3.
Well, I've already gotten a steak out of you, so I'm thinking maybe I might want some dessert. So we might have to put dessert on this one.
Dessert bet.
I don't know if I'd be willing to bet on this one. Crash Bandicoot is kind of a far-reaching shot, but all right, Pedro, what do you got for us?
I was gonna say we are gonna get a Crash game, but it might just be a while.
Yeah, it may not be this E3.
Crash and Burn, man. That game is trash. Horrible game.
Trash and Burn.
All right, let's get out of this shitty joke making. I think that at some point during the press conference, they are going to announce a price cut for the PS4. I don't think that they're going to allow Microsoft to have that $249 price point by themselves. I also think that in order to ease the pain of this expensive PS4.5 that they're going to release, that they will have to cut the price of, you know, the existing stock they have for the PlayStation 4. I'm thinking $249, but they might even undercut it even more if they don't have faith in, you know, people receiving the PS4.5 very well and go down as low as $199. You know what? I'll even say this. I think that they'll have a trade-in, a Sony-sponsored trade-in um, instant rebate program where if you trade in your old PS3 towards the purchase of a PS4, you get $50 off to make it $199. Price straight up is $249 though.
Oh, that'd be dope.
Yeah, they definitely don't need to do that, but they definitely could. So I think it would be a great thing to do to try to snag up those last straggling people who haven't upgraded to next gen yet.
Those console peasants.
Harsh. Very
Yeah.
harsh.
Yeah.
All right, Jay, what's your last prediction for Sony?
My last prediction was that the PS 4.5 would be priced and announced for October, which we kind of just talked about. Minus me thinking did you think October there, Pedro?
For what? For
The release cut? Of the no for the 4.5, the PS 4.5.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you that after Nate's because
okay.
We're on the same wavelength there.
Oh, okay. But what I was going to say, my final prediction outside of that, so it's a 2-for-1, is I think they're going to announce that we can change our PSN names. God damn it!
They
Yes.
announced, guys, the PS4 it wasn't enough technology to handle the
I ain't buying that shit.
engineering feat that it is to change your PSN names. But god damn it,
Change a
if you buy the
goddamn
PS4,
name.
if you buy the PS4.5, you can change your name 300, 400, 500 times and it'll be free of charge, as opposed to those greedy fucks at Microsoft that charge you $10 in name change. Then
Dude,
everybody
I will
rejoices.
pay. I will pay to get to change my name. Not that my name is particularly bad, but it's not what I necessarily want it to be. But I feel bad for the people that have had, their PSN account for over 10 years. Think about it like some of these people that were in middle school and now here they are in college and like their name is like Dope Man 360 42069, whatever the hell, like I feel bad for those people, man. So for the love of God, Shuhei, let us change our fucking names. First F-bomb I ever dropped, but it was worth it.
Oh man, I mean, if this E3 goes as we predicted, you'll be dropping many more live on the stream. So tune in. For that.
Get used to it. Yeah, get used to it.
All right, well,
Nate, I promised you I would wait and I would save that F-bomb for when I was ready, and God damn it, I was ready.
You were ready, sir.
Nate, let us change our names.
Yeah,
I know you have the
please.
key. You have the key to the Sony City that lets us change our name. I know it's you.
For those who didn't have the forethought to pick something appropriate. Anyway, moving on. My last prediction for Sony is that we are going to get a release date for the Final Fantasy VII Remake that was revealed at last year's E3. They've already said that it's going to be an episodic in nature, so it may not be too much to ask that we actually get a release date for the first episode in the series, and that would be all it would take for me to say that Sony won E3, because I am a huge Final Fantasy VII fanboy, and I'm going to be biased. And that's all it takes for them to win me over. So I really want to see a release date. I really want to see more gameplay footage. I want to see someone actually playing the game instead of just footage of it. Hands-on demo would be great. I couldn't be more excited about this title since it's by far one of my favorite RPGs of all time.
That would be the moment of the show, hands down.
Yeah,
it's gonna bring down the house. I don't think anybody else is gonna want to talk about anything else. Final Fantasy VII remake release date. Yeah, moment of the show for sure.
Yeah, and
For
I completely agree with that. I think they will do that. I don't know how. I totally forgot about that, and now that you mention it, yeah, that could be a show stealer. So maybe they would close on that. I would close on that if I were Sony.
Yeah, that might be a more realistic close for the show.
Yeah, that's a mic drop moment. I think Um,
Yeah.
mm.
All right, so Pedro, what's your last prediction for Sony this year?
I think I also, like Jay, believe that they are going to announce the PS 4.5. It will be priced and announced for October. It will release 2 weeks after the PSVR solo, the standalone PSVR, gets released. I think it will be priced at $500. Um, it will be priced at $500 by itself, and it will be seven. Let's say 750 with the PSVR bundle. Um, Launch titles will be. I think it'll come with a Gran Turismo made for it, and a I would say Last Guardian, but I don't think Last Guardian is gonna be a PS 4.5 compatible, not compatible, PS 4.5 uh,
Kind of
like
a launch
enabled
game.
title. Yeah,
Enabled, yeah.
I don't think that's what it's going to be, unfortunately. But I think they'll have Gran Turismo as their launch title. They'll probably say whatever Destiny's going to come out with will be on there. Battlefield will have an update to be compatible with it, or Battlefront will be compatible with it, and the new Call of Duty will also be a 4.5 quote unquote launch title. How do you guys feel about those prices? Are they too rich for your blood? Is this something? Am I shooting too high? Do you think that they can make this under a $500 console with as much power as it needs to have to power VR? And do you think they bundle the VR with it, and will it cost around $800? Like I said.
Yeah.
I don't.
Let me.
Okay,
Yeah.
you take it, Jay.
Okay, all right. I was gonna say that I don't think you're far off. I think what'd you say, 749? I think it'll be 699,
Okay.
and I think the standalone console will be $500. I completely agree with that. Um, and I would say that Last Guardian will be one of the launch games for it.
Uh,
I saw an IGN first, and I was like, I don't know. I just don't think that they want to get that game out, bro. I just don't think they would have had to take more time to get that PS Neo ready, unless they were working on it like last year, which I mean is totally plausible, but I highly
Do
doubt it.
you think do you think they'll have the ability to patch like games that came out prior to the Neo's release and like patch it and bring it up to Neo standards? You think that'd be an ability they had?
I think so. I
So
think so.
so then maybe that's what they'll do.
Like a patch afterwards.
Yeah, to where it's like, okay, well, this will bump up the resolution and the frame rate and yada yada yada.
Very well conceivable. I think that could happen. I also think that the price point seems right in line with what we should expect from VR. It's definitely too rich for my blood. I am not jumping on the VR bandwagon at all until the technology gets cheaper by far. But I'm still excited about it, and it seems reasonable to me. Like, I don't think it seems extraordinarily high. So, yeah, that's my take on that.
Yeah, I mean, you
And
still play on a black and white TV, for God's sake.
I do. I mean, who needs color? I can that grayscale, man, it works just as well.
God, I hope you're lying.
All right, so that about wraps up our main conference predictions. Next up, we've got our developer predictions. We got three each. You want to just run through each three of them for each of us, or you want to take turns?
Let's do
Let's
three.
do it.
Like just the three that we had, and then we'll go about it that way.
And then we'll finish up with our bold predictions.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
so
right,
we're doing
so
developer predictions, right?
right.
Okay, so I'm going to go first, and I'm going to say that for developer prediction, I think that Rockstar reveals Red Dead Redemption 2, but before that release, because we know it's in 2017, they've said it, we're going to get Red Dead Remastered on the PS4 and, you know, Xbox One consoles, and it's going to have all the DLC included in it. So I think that's what's going to happen from Rockstar. I think Naughty Dog is going to tease The Last of Us 2, just a short little, you know, cut that shows us if it is in fact going to continue Joel's story with what's her name? Someone help me out
Ellie.
here. Ellie.
Ellie.
Man, you didn't even play the game and you got that. And then my third prediction is Valve is going to reveal Left 4 Dead 3, and that's going to be my favorite thing out of this conference. And those are my three developer predictions.
Very good predictions. My developer predictions are going to be Sega resurrecting the Panzer Dragoon franchise. Never going to happen, but I'm going to wish that we see something from Panzer Dragoon, one of my favorite franchises of all time, and it needs to come back. Either that or we will see an HD classic Sonic collection, which I really want to play my old Sonic the Hedgehog games in HD on my new TV. It would be so cool. Just give me those classic Sonic games over again.
No, we're
And,
gonna get Sonic. We're gonna get Sonic in VR, and it's gonna make you puke your guts out because you
Oh,
get so dizzy.
Yeah, it would be that
Sucks
terrible.
so
All right, my second developer prediction is going to be that Yu Suzuki shows gameplay of Shenmue 3. They announced that they were starting the Kickstarter for it at last E3, and that Sony was helping them out with it. I forget who. But
Yes.
Yeah.
yes, so I really want to see what they've been working on. I'm sure they haven't gotten very far. I've heard some rumors that, you know, there's a good build of the game going already, but I definitely want to see anything of that. Any little bit of teaser gameplay footage I can get from Shenmue 3, I'll be super excited about. And finally, Project CD Red announcing a spin-off of the Witcher series with Ciri as the main character. This was also another rumor that I heard a little bit about, and I know that Project CD Red is working on another game right now that's not associated with the Witcher franchise, but I'd still like, you know, them to milk that franchise just a little bit more and
Nate,
give me another game. Yeah.
you can't be serious.
Oh,
Had to do it.
man, that was very punny.
oh my god.
All right, Pedro. What's your developer predictions?
I mean, how could you follow up that joke right there? EA is going to announce a new Star Wars game to coincide with Rogue One. Hopefully, it will be much more fleshed out than what Battlefront was. But don't hold your breath. Ubisoft is going to announce Watch Dogs 2 to release this fall. I think that game is ready to go. The original Watch Dogs was actually a really ambitious game that just didn't pan out. I think that they took their time with this new version of Watch Dogs, and this would be a much, much better game. This could also be one of those games that I mentioned might be PS 4.5 ready. And then Bethesda will announce a new Skyrim game with a 2017 release. I think that will be around the time that you saw Uncharted come out.
Okay, now question:
Yep.
if Bethesda puts out a new Skyrim game, I'm still hung up on Star Wars. Sorry, a new Skyrim game, and those character animations look like they have in all their other games, and it has the bugs that those games are always known to have from that developer. Are we going to give those guys another pass, or are we going to start holding them to a higher standard? Because everyone gives them a pass because how big and how ambitious their games are, so we can forgive some of the other stuff and brush it under the rug. But then we see Project CD Red put out The Witcher 3, which was a game that was every bit as big, if not bigger, and it didn't have all those weird intangibles. So if they do put out Skyrim, do we think they need to scrap their engine and have an all new engine? Like, what do you guys think? I'm going to put that to you, Nate. What do you think on that?
They most definitely have to have a new engine to take advantage of everything that the new consoles are capable of.
Yeah, and what about you, Pedro?
If they don't come with a new engine, of course, then the public is going to be like, "All right, this is terrible. We're going to need you guys to step it up a notch here."
Yeah, because just in lieu of Fallout 4 coming out, it was supposed to take the world by storm. The sales were ridiculous, but once people got into the game, it was oh wow, well there's that Bethesda charm that we know of. This can's just floating in midair, or some random NPC just flew off off cam as I was talking to him. Just all this weird, really dumb stuff that happens in their games. But I like all three of those predictions. Watch Dogs 2, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. Watch Dogs was very ambitious, but it was almost like it was too ambitious for its own good. But I think any mishaps that they had in the first one, they'll fix in the second one. Sometimes it just goes like that when you have a new franchise come out. You got to kind of work the bugs out. I think they did a lot better job with that game than the Order 1866 did with its game. I don't even know if they should even follow that game up with the sequel. So I like those predictions, man. Solid.
All right, that takes care of our developer predictions, and we are going to wrap up the show with our bold predictions for E3. So, starting us off, Jay, what is your bold prediction for this year?
Wrap it before you tap it. I just want to throw that in there. And my bold prediction is No Man's Sky. I know they've said that it's not going to have VR support. I'm not buying it. I think that has to do with the delay. So my bold prediction is that No Man's Sky will in fact have VR support.
Man, you were just really wanting VR support for that game, aren't you?
Yeah, because that's what's going to get me on board. How can you not look at that game and I know, that's what I'm saying. How do you look at that game and not have VR in your head every time you see it? Getting in a spaceship, taking off and flying to another planet. Let me fucking do that in VR. Oh, boom, there's my second F-bomb. Sorry. But yeah, that's my bold prediction.
Yeah, it would work great for it. I won't argue that. My bold prediction for this year's E3 is that Sony is going to announce backwards compatibility for the PlayStation 4. Realistically, I don't think this is going to happen, but Microsoft has done it, and I'd really like to see Sony do it, at least with PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 games. You wouldn't think it would be that hard to do it with those, so why not? Just give us an update.
Can I cut in here?
Emulation. Yeah, please.
Let me tell you that I don't think you're that far off, because the reason they didn't do it beforehand may have something to do with the fact that they were trying to push PS, PS Now, where you can rent the games or whatever.
Right.
So they tried it, and when's the last time you heard anybody run a game off there?
My
Never,
roommate
right?
rented Mirror's Edge off of there.
Okay, well, stop putting holes in my idea.
I didn't
I think
recommend that
that
he do it though. I will say that.
yeah, I mean, it just like I don't think technology's there yet. Like, the streaming of the game is very unreliable right now. I think there's still latency issues, and I just think that the price points they can never get them right. I think it'd be in Sony's best interest to walk away from PS Now, just take the loss. You tried, but at the end of the day, like, Microsoft has backwards compatibility, and like in a lot of people's eyes, that helped them win E3 last year. So if Sony were to just be like, you know what, we tried, it failed, let's do backwards compatibility, and then boom, there you have it. So you might not be far off.
If they can accomplish the engineering feat of getting an emulation system or an emulated version of a PlayStation 2 and a PlayStation on the PlayStation 4 software, but we can't change their goddamn name, I'm gonna be so pissed.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm just like, you're okay. So you're gonna do the most complicated thing, at this point in time, is to have a backwards compatible mode on the PlayStation, but I can't change my name. Oh, okay, that makes total sense. I'm sorry, but that's just not gonna happen, unfortunately. I don't think that the Sony engineering team is as good as what Microsoft has on their engineering team, nor do I think they care about us changing our names. But that's neither here nor there. I'll end that side rant right there. My bold prediction is that Microsoft will announce a console with Oculus Rift support, but the cool thing about this is not the Oculus Rift support. It won't be the power that comes with the console, nor will it be the fact that it will be the first device that fully merges with the Windows 10 platform with the Xbox platform. But it will be the fact that it will be fully customizable. So it will bring the PC-like, the convenience of being a PC gamer, where you can just upgrade your graphics card or whatever the case may be, with being a console gamer. So it's going to give you that PC-like experience on a console box. They will partner with the leading graphics cards, makers, RAM manufacturers, to make Xbox compatible graphics card and things like that, so you can just swap them in and out. It's going to be.
Can I cut in here?
Yeah.
If you answer yes to this question, then I am going to be a Microsoft fanboy for life. So please say yes to this. Does this mean they will allow Steam games onto their console?
Yeah, because it'll be a Windows 10. It'll merge both, so it'll have Windows 10 on there. Yes.
So I'll be able to go over to Steam and pick a game and play it on my Xbox.
Yes, they will. They will also have that announcement as well. I don't see how that would hurt them.
That would be so gnarly.
It would be gnarly. That would be enough for me to want to go out and buy an Xbox.
When's the last time you guys... yeah, right, no kidding. But when's the last time you guys went over to Steam and looked at their games? Like, dude, it's just pages of quality games.
And that's why I don't go to Steam.
It's a rabbit hole is what it is, dude. It's such a rabbit hole.
I'd never make my way out.
Outside, yeah, you're correct.
Well, all right, guys. I think that about wraps up all our predictions for this upcoming E3. Anything else to add?
Yeah.
Who's gonna win the show? Who wins the show?
In one word.
Sony, Final Fantasy VII.
That's multiple words. I'm going to say Microsoft, because I think Sony's like they're on their high horse. They've gotten comfortable, they've gotten cushy. I think Microsoft can steal the rug right from underneath them. So I'm going to go with Microsoft.
I agree, Microsoft.
We shall see. All right. Well, everyone stay tuned because we're gonna have a E3 show coming up where we're all gonna sit down and do this live. I guess that's the plan, right, guys?
Yep, we'll be doing a live react to the press conferences. So you'll basically just be watching the press conference with a little square with 3 of us sitting there, either freaking out, bored out of our minds, or pretty angry that our predictions didn't come true.
We will have.
Come on, let's be honest. We're only going to be bored when Nintendo's talking. Let's be real.
All right. Well, everyone, stay tuned. Anything else to add?
Yeah,
like us on Facebook.
I was gonna
follow our group.
Yeah, I was.
Subscribe.
Yeah, all that. Plus, I just want to let people know that we might be changing a couple things in EDG moving forward, probably in a couple weeks. So we have some exciting ideas coming up. So just keep it locked. We appreciate everybody's support. As always, like our videos, comment. Let's get some conversations going. Tell your friends. Let's start this East Coast movement. That's all I got.
All right, well, that concludes our Let's Hash It E3 Prediction podcast. Join us next time.